Hello, my name is Puppet, and today I am bringing you a video about books that I want to read this year. So I'm going to split this up kind of in two. I'm going to be talking about books that are coming out this year, so 2022 releases, and then I'm going to talk about romance books that I want to read. So I'm going to start off with 2022 book releases that I want to read. One of the books that I plan on reading is Tripping Arcadia by Kate McQuist. This book is actually out already, and I put a hold on it on my public library, so I'm just waiting for it to be ready so I can go pick it up and read it. And this is actually described as a modern gothic splendor of the Great Gatsby and all the secrets, lies, and darkness that opulence can hide for fans of Mexican Gothic. I read Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I found it really slow and kind of boring sometimes at the beginning. I love the ending, you know, like the last part of the book, but I still enjoyed the book. So I'm hoping maybe this one won't be exactly as slow paced as Mexican Gothic and would have a better pacing to it. But let me get into what this one is about. So it's about a med school dropout, Lena, who is desperate for a job to help her parents who are approaching bankruptcy. One day, she is offered a job for one of Boston's most elite families, the Verdos? I don't know how to pronounce the last name. By day, she is an assistant, and by night, she works at the family's lavish parties, where she finds a sinister side to the family and helps hide their self-destructive tendencies. She discovers the family is responsible for the ruin of her own family, and so she decides to go out for revenge. That sounds really interesting to me, so I was like, sign me up for that book. Then we have From Below by Darcy Coates. I've read 3 of her books. One I really loved, and one was like okay, and the other one was just like meh, you know. I do have another one, I think it's called Dead Lake. I have not read it yet, but I do plan on reading it one day. So for this book, it says, no light, no air, no escape. Hundreds of feet beneath the ocean surface, a graveyard awaits. And it's basically about a shipwreck. It's called SS Arcadia, and it vanished. And it was found 60 years later, 300 miles from its intended course and deep beneath the surface level. And so there's this lady, Cove, and her team, and they are granted permission to go investigate the shipwreck and film everything. And there's something that says something dark and hungry watches them from below, and then they have limited oxygen, and the ship is slowly closing in on them, and they have to fight their way out. I want to give this one a go because I have not read any horror books specifically about water and being located underneath the surface level, and so I've been meaning to find one, and seems like maybe this one will be the one, and hopefully I really like it. The next book is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas, and this one comes out on May 3rd, and it's described as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca, debut supernatural suspense novel. Aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence, about a remote house, sinister haunting, and the woman pulled into their clutches. So this is the second book on my list that is described for Mexican Gothic fans. So I'm hoping this one also is not as slow paced and has that gothic feeling to it, like sinister atmosphere to it. So what this one is about is, in the overthrow of the Mexican government, Beatrice's father is executed and her home is destroyed. She seeks sanctuary, so when a handsome Don Rodolfo Solorzano proposes, she accepts to seize security despite rumors of Don Rodolfo's first wife's sudden demise. She comes to realize the hacienda is not the sanctuary she imagined. Rodolfo's sister doesn't come in at night, and the cook burns incense and marks doorways with strange symbols. Beatrice seeks help from a witch to fight off the malevolent presence haunting the hacienda. To protect the woman, he feels a strong forbidding attraction. Far from refuge, the hacienda may be Beatrice's doom. Yeah, so that's what that one's about. So that one's May 3rd. On May 17th, we have The Island by Adrian McKinty, and it's about a family who discovers a remote Dutch island deep in the Australian outback. The island is off limits to visitors, but they go anyway. The island is run by a tightly knit clan of locals. A shocking accident happens and the family is thrown into an absolute nightmare. Now they must try to save themselves. This one also was stated to be into a Hulu series. I don't have Hulu, so if I like the book, I will definitely get a Hulu account and watch it. And it just sounds super eerie, like a survival mode, like, you know, people just hunting you down. This is what I'm imagining, you know, like them hunting them down, like eating them. I don't know, like, you know, and it's just gotta like run. Kind of reminds me like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but on an island and with like a clan of people. So I'm just super excited for that one. On July 19th, we have The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and this one is described as a science fiction, historical fiction book, and it's a reimagining of The Island of Dr. Moreau. I have never read it or heard of it, but I should probably do a little bit of research about it to prepare myself for this book. What this one is about, Carlota Moreau, a young woman living in a distant and luxurious estate, only daughter of a genius or a madman. Then we have Montgomery Langton, has a tragic past and a prosperity for alcohol, an outcast who assists Dr. Moreau with experiments, which is financed by the Lizalde family, who are rich. And then we have the hybrids, the fruits of the doctor's label, destined to blindly obey their creator. They are part human and part animal monstrosities. They all live in a balanced world until Eduardo Lizalde, son of Dr. Moreau's boss, arrives, who unwittingly begins a dangerous chain of reaction. This one, for some reason, is giving me a vibe of... I once saw a YouTuber playing a game where there's like this father and he has like an assistant and they just create monstrosities. So it's about this daughter, and she lives in the mansion, and her father is always in his lab with his assistant. And what they do is, I think they take women and they turn them into dolls. And at the end of the game, well, actually, I probably won't say if anyone wants to play it, but I'm going to look up the name of the game. But I really enjoyed the playthrough of this game. It was just like creepy, but it was like really entertaining, and I loved the story and everything. I watched this a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure it was... who was it who was playing it? I don't remember who I was watching was playing it, but I'm gonna look up this game and then I'll come back and tell you guys which game this book reminds me of, besides The Island of Dr. Moreau, you know. Then we have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This one was meant for a July release, but now it says June online, so I'm not really sure which month exactly it's gonna fall into. This one is about Casey Fletcher. She's a widowed actress, and she tries to escape a streak of bad press. So she retreats to a family house lake in Vermont. With a pair of binoculars, she passes time watching a glamorous couple who are across the lake. Tom is rich and Catherine is a formal model. Casey and Catherine soon get to know each other one day. It becomes clear Tom's and Catherine's marriage is not what it appears. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey becomes consumed to find out what happened. She will uncover eerie, dark truths. I'm excited for this book because Riley Sager really does know how to write a good thriller book. So I'm just gonna wonder what the mystery is behind this one, and you know, there's always a twist behind his books, and I'm just excited to see what the twist is gonna be this time, like, because you know, things never seem to be what they are, so I'm gonna have to see what the deal is with this mystery. Then in November we have Piñata by Leopoldo Gaut, and it's a head full of ghosts meets Hereditary, a possession tale. The genres is fairy tale, horror, and supernatural fiction, and this one is about Carmen Sanchez is back in her home country of Mexico overseeing the renovation of an ancient cathedral into a hotel. Her two daughters join her for the summer. The locals treat the Sanchez women like outsiders, and her contractors defy and sabotage her. One day, after a disastrous accident almost hurts one of her daughters, she's had enough and decides to leave. Back in New York, Carmen's daughter starts acting really strange. Something might have awakened. It says a bone-chilling story about how the sinister repercussions of our past can return to haunt us. This one's really exciting. I've never seen Hereditary, but I've always heard how good it is. Of course, there's good and bad reviews, but for the majority part, I've heard a lot of people say it's just super weird and creepy, and it's scary, and I can't wait to read this one. I have to wait all the way till November to read this one, but I have a good list of books there. The ones I'm most excited about this year would have to be The Daughter of Dr. Monroe and Piñata and Tripping Arcadia and From Below. Basically my whole TBR list of these 2022 book releases. And I'm just so freaking excited. Okay, so now moving into my TBR list of romance books. I'm not really a romance person, but lately I've just been in a complete romance mood. And okay, let's just get started, okay? So, first book is Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy, and it's basically about good girl meets bad boy. And so we have Mackenzie, who is like really rich, her family's rich, and she goes to college and she meets this bad boy, and he's just a local townie, and they just meet, and you know, sparks fly basically. And yeah, we'll have to like see where this goes. I do like a good girl bad boy type scenario romance, but it has to be done well. It can be like a complete douche, you know, and the girl just be like, oh my god, you're such a douche to everybody except me. Like, I don't like those type of stories. I like the guy just being a bad boy, you know, getting into some trouble, but never like extremely like a douche, like a dick to people. So hopefully he's not that type of bad boy, and we'll have to see where that goes. These next two books are Enemies to Lovers, Stuck on an Island romance books, and the first one being No Words by Meg Cabot, and this one is about Jo Wright. Yeah, Jo Wright, and she's a children's novelist, and she's having writer's block, and her father needs financial support, but she doesn't really have money. So her nemesis is Will Price, and he lives on this beautiful island in the Florida Keys, and this island is hosting a book festival, and Jo is asked to attend this festival, and she's like, I don't know. And they're like, well, it's an all trip paid expense, you know, you should go, we're paying for your trip. And she's like, I don't know. But then she finds out, well, she doesn't want to go because Will lives there and he's going to be at the book festival. But then she finds out that he's not going to be at the event because he's off to the set of one of his books that's being adapted into a film. And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna go. So she goes to the event and she's on this island. But then guess who's there? Yeah, her enemy, Will. And you know, it's a romance book, so you're kind of be forced to, you know, bond and spend time together on this island in Florida, you know. So that's what this one's about. All right, and then we have The Label by Lacey Walden, and this one's not actually them being stranded on an island, but they are stranded and stuck together on a beautiful place, you know. And so what this one is about, it's Enemy to Lover, and it's about, what was her name? Ava, and she's a flight attendant, and after 10 years of being a flight attendant, she's like ready to hang up her wings and keep her feet on the ground. And so on her very last flight ever being a flight attendant, guess who's on that plane? Yep, her current enemy, Jack. And it's mentioned he's a former pilot, and yeah, so anyways, they're flying and the airplane has mechanical problems, so they're forced to land in Belize, and now they're just stuck together, spending time together in this beautiful paradise of Belize. So we'll have to see how this one goes. I really do want to read this one in the summer because it's just giving me summer vibes. So mwah. Alright, and then we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this one is about Ari Abrams, who's a meteorologist, and she reports the weather on TV. And we have sports reporter Russell Beringer, and they work on this news station together, and I think it takes place in Seattle. And their two bosses, they're divorced, and they're just bickering all the time. Like, they just fight with each other and literally broadcast their relationship problems in front of all the coworkers, and Ari and Russell are just like, you know what, we're just kind of tired of it. We want to keep working here. We love working here, but it's a bit toxic with our bosses, like, you know, going at each other all the time, and it's abundantly clear that they still love each other. So they unite, Ari and Russell unite to bring their bosses back together. And in this plan, you know, being together and conspiring to bring their bosses back together, they, you know, might fall in love or spark some feelings for each other, you know. And it sounds super cute, and it's also giving me like rainy weather days, so hopefully I can start this book on a rainy day, because, you know, it has rain on the cover, and I really like this cover. It's so cute. I mean, look at it. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, moving on. The next book I got is Neon Gods by Kate Robert, and let me just say this. I typically don't like romances where it's all about sex and no, like, bonding, no building that chemistry, getting to know each other on an emotional level, because I prefer the cuter stuff, like, you know, like, I'm getting to talk to the person, and then I discover I really like them, and then, you know, I do want to bang them. Like, I do like those, but not just like, oh, all I want to do is bang that person, and I just like, oh, I just want to imagine them on me, like, in me, you know, and then, you know, a little bit of the chemistry. I don't like those books. But this one, I got it because I'm expecting steamy scenes, okay? And I don't expect any emotional bonding in this book. Maybe just a little bit, but the majority of the reason why I got this book was because I heard so steamy, and I want to see what the hype is about this book. So we'll have to see. Oh, and it is a Hades and Persephone retelling, but in a steamy form. And this last romance book is A Season for Second Chances by Jenny Bayless. I can't pronounce things even if they're super simple, if you guys haven't noticed. Anyway, so it's about Anne, and basically she has this restaurant, and her restaurant's running good, and her husband divorced her, and her children are grown up, so she has nothing to do, and she wants a brand new do-over. So she moves out of the city, and she goes into this countryside, this little cabin, I believe, and everybody receives her with open arms. It's winter, you know, and Christmas coming up, and she's like lonely, so she's spending her time alone in this cabin. And there's this guy, I believe it's the nephew of the homeowner, and he does not want her there, and he has plans for the property, but with Anne living there, it's just he can't do anything. But, you know, there's tensions there, but then they get to know each other, and, you know, romance happens. So we'll have to see how this goes. And this one is based off in winter and near Christmas time, so I do plan on reading this one in the winter. You know, hot chocolate type, and with some bread or coffee, and just reading this book. It just sounds so cozy, you know. So we'll have to wait for the end of the year for me to read this one, and hopefully I get to this one, because it sounds so cute. Okay, so those are the books that are on my TBR for the 2022 year for now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And if you guys have read any of these or are also interested in read some of these books, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.